This is Stephanie with Spiritual Creator. That's www.spiritualcreator.com. And today I am going to talk a little bit about manifestation and try to demystify a little bit about that. Response. Only God, only life, only love, only one, only all that is. That is all that exists and all that is, everywhere, present, always, and in all ways. I am of God, and therefore within me I have the opportunity to utilize the same characteristics that are associated with God: goodness, love, peace, wisdom, joy, prosperity, wholeness, health, life, responsiveness, activity, calmness, serenity. An unlimited number of positive traits are mine to use within my life. It is now my choice to call up the characteristics of response in life, words, and actions. This word is the root of responsive and responsible. It is proactive and expresses best in a sense of serenity, calmness, peace, and wisdom. I know that all my prayers receive a response from life, and that the answer is in the prayer. How I choose to pray, how I choose to think, how I choose to speak, and how I choose to act today with response from that place of wisdom and calmness. The universe responds and co-responds to my energy and feelings, to my heartfelt words and thoughts, and brings into being in cooperation with me that which I have expressed. My choice today is a response of sweetness and loving kindness. My choice today is a response of generosity and genuine caring. My choice today is a response of focus and clarity. My choice today is a response of friendliness and goodness. My choice today is a response of accepting and receiving. My choice today is a response of calmness and peace. I remember the prayer of serenity, and I meet all challenges and opportunities with calmness and peace. I slow down and center myself in my truth before I make any decisions, before I think any thoughts, before I take any actions, so that each response is one I am sure is in integrity with who and whose I am. From this moment forward, I no longer allow or accept reactionary thinking, reactionary speaking, or reactionary actions. I choose now to be responsible with my thoughts, my words, and my actions, choosing the highest and best for me and all concerned, knowing this is the God way. No matter what winds of calamity or fear, anger, or mistakes may show up in my world, I know that each area that could throw me off course is met with response. By choosing the God way as my response, these areas that arrive in my life as something less than the highest and best for me now must dissipate and return to their native nothingness. Choosing the God way as my response serves as my shield from others' reactionary choices, from fearful thoughts and behaviors, from upset or of every kind. Today I choose to view each challenge that arises in my life with the scrutiny of truth, and I choose to respond with wisdom. I easily move through them and beyond them, and I know this paper tiger cannot touch me. I choose now to respond to my world by allowing miscreations and dis-ease to slip away. Their energy transformed for use in my life to create that which I truly desire and want, and that which I consciously choose. So that's all I'm going to read of that. There's more. There's the gratitude part of that. So it's very interesting that this was the treatment that I chose, and the word for today was response. And I've had a lot of opportunities today to practice this. I've only been awake for about 8 hours, and I've had just multitudes of opportunity to practice what I preach. So I want to just kind of talk a little bit about intention. So my intention today is this: I choose now to be responsible with my thoughts, my words, and my actions, choosing the highest and best for me and all concerned, knowing this is the God way. So here's what happens sometimes when you set an intention. You may truly and completely and wholeheartedly want that, but everything that's come up before that has perhaps not been that intention. In fact, sometimes the exact opposite of that intention. And so there's this, what we call cognitive dissonance, where, and if you think of it in terms of music, dissonance is also a musical term. So if I think of it in terms of music, and I have on one side of my stereo, I have AC/DC playing, and on the other side of my stereo, I have, I don't know, Canon in D from Pachelbel, and they're both playing at the same time. Although it may sound like Star Trek Klingon music, for most people that will probably cause some cognitive dissonance, because you're trying to figure out a way to make this fit with this, and they don't really, generally you don't think of those two things meshing. So there's a dissonance, there's a area where they just don't seem to be meeting together. And so I can have an intention that I'm going to be very clear about how I respond, and I'm going to do it in a loving way, and I'm going to not be irritated, and whatever comes up, I'm just going to go, oh, it's fine. Okay, so that's my intention. And over here is all this stuff that's backed up. It's like, it's kind of a not great analogy in terms of visuals, but consider it sort of like the sewer plant is backed up. It's so backed up with junk, garbage, poop, that after a while, that's all that's in there. It's just full of it, okay? And so I'm trying to put this new thing in, and they're so backed up with this that this is just overwhelming. If it just kind of overtakes that intention, because my consciousness is so filled with all the mess that I don't want, all the complaining and the whining and the irritations and the, people that bug me and the situations that I don't want to deal with, and I've got too much to do, and, just na. That's just blah, blah, blah. Okay. We're just going to call that blah, blah, blah. Okay. Everybody has it. Everybody has blah, blah, blah. But in order to move beyond that cognitive dissonance, so here's my higher intention, and here's this other intention, and it's kind of just pushing against that. And part of that has to do with habitual thinking. Okay, it actually has to do with how your brain is thinking. When, if you think about how the brain functions, and when you have a thought, it fires a synapses and all this energy happens. And so you have a specific set of chemicals that are released, and your body responds in a certain way, and it's habitual. Okay, we're addicted to that. The more you do a certain thing, the more addicted your body gets to that particular set of chemicals. So there's a physical component to trying to make a new intention and bring into creation something new. There's also the spiritual side of that, where, I'm thinking this way, and yet the actual human behavior that I'm creating isn't of the highest and best. It's complaining and whining and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so until I can get the human part of me trained to be thinking like the spiritual part of me, and I'm, we're all one, it's all one thing, but there, we have these, it's sort of like weights, I've got to put a little more love into my way I look at things, and then that way they'll equal out, and then they can easily mesh together. Until I do that, everything that I intend, if it doesn't match what it is that I'm thinking and how I'm behaving and how I'm treating other people, and that whole inner thing, that whole inner world, you can talk to the outer, and it isn't really what your inner voice is. When your inner voice matches your outer voice, and your outer voice matches your actions, then you're going to start seeing the things that you truly intend manifest. So we're always creating. It doesn't matter what you think. If you're thinking it, you're helping to create it. So, people say, oh, I'm not responsible for the yucky stuff that happened in my life. Well, you might not have necessarily said, oh, I want cancer, or oh, I want to break my leg, or oh, I want my roof to fall in. But you can be pretty clear that there is some part of your life, your habitual thinking, behaviors, and actions, that your words, all of those are going into helping to create those situations just as much as when you go, oh, look what I created, this wonderful amount of money, or this new job, or this loving relationship. Why would you think that you're only creating the good stuff? The question then becomes, well, who's creating the bad stuff in your life? Okay. And I guess if you were really able to take that responsibility, you could say, I created that. Yep, I see it. I did it. I see exactly the pattern where I did it. And now I need to go back. I used a term in the treatment today for miscreations. Okay, so we can take those miscreations. Those are like, I was going to build a house and I forgot to put the nails in. So the house is going to fall apart, right? So that's a miscreation. You can actually disassemble all of that thinking by changing the patterns of your thought. I can write affirmations. That's one way, because the more you are actually physically writing it, then the more your body is getting it from that source. You can also speak them. I sometimes will record them and listen to them. So I'm getting that from 3 sources. In The Secret, they talk a little bit, and I can't remember the name of the woman who is quoted when she says something to the effect of, aren't we lucky that what we create doesn't happen instantaneously? You think of an elephant and then you have an elephant in your room. No, it doesn't happen that fast. There's a latency. There's a time lapse. So, and it also has to do with the amount of energy you're putting into it. So you might drive by and go, oh, I'd love to have a Corvette. And then you drive on and you forget. So the Corvette may start to appear, but then you forget and you go, oh, it's sort of like the squirrel. Oh, I'm over here doing this now. So all that energy that was moving towards whatever it was, the Corvette or whatever it was your treat you were thinking about, then just stops. Okay, it stops right there. There's no more creating on that until your attention comes back to it. Then you go, oh, and when I get my Corvette, I want it to be red, and I want it to have leather interior, and I want it to have, this amount of price on it, or I want it to be given to me, or, the more you think about the details of it, the more that you visualize it, the more that you affirm that you have that and you start to feel that, then that's how much faster that creation is going to bloom. So we have thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of creations that are all starting all day long. You have all these thoughts. So the thing is that to create, your attention has to stay on it. Your attention has to be focused on that consistently. And, although I have certainly seen some amazing creations that come at the snap of a finger, and that is because myself or the person creating absolutely had 100% conviction that was going to occur. Until you get to that point, your creations are going to take a little bit of time. Okay, you can practice and you get better and better and better at it. And you can look around everything in your life and say, oh, I created that. So if you're not happy with where you are, if there's something about your experience that is not what you would prefer, maybe it's your job, Maybe there's somebody at your job. Maybe there's a relationship that you're looking for, or in a relationship that you would like to improve. Maybe you would like to have more income. Maybe you would like to have more money that doesn't require coming from a job and is legal. Maybe you want a new car. Whatever it is, maybe you just want to have some time where you can relax and enjoy just being. We get so busy. So whatever it is that you want to create, you have to put your intention and your full attention, your intention and your attention on that thing in order for that to show up in your life. So anything that you have in your world, you have put an intention. So when you go grocery shopping, you walk down the aisles, and sometimes we have a list. And we go, oh, okay, I got that, check it off, I got that, I got that. And you go through and you pick the things that you want. Okay. And when you're walking down that aisle and you're picking 4 or 5 things off the shelves, think about how many other things are on those shelves that you're not picking. Okay. Those are things that you're not picking because your attention is not on them. Your attention is on what it is you want, right? Now, sometimes we'll be walking down the aisle and we'll see something that we didn't have on the list, and we go, oh, but I want that too. And you can put it into your basket and you can continue going on. And that happens in life. The grocery shopping analogy is true to life too. We can look at a couple and see how wonderful they are together and say, yes, I would like to have some of that, please. I'll have a helping. And it's like you go through the cafe and I'll have a helping of that. Oh, that looks wonderful. I would like to have some friends that like to come over and have dinner with me a couple times a month. That looks like that'll be a lot of fun. I'll have a helping of that. And you go along and maybe you see somebody who has a beautiful garden outside their house and you think, yeah, that's for me. I would love to have some beautiful flowers and a nice looking yard that is such a welcome to come home to. I'll have some of that. Thank you very much. And so you just keep choosing. It's really about what are you choosing? Do you even know what you want? And putting it onto your plate. Okay. Now, if I take a whole plate full of stuff, do I have to have it all? If I want it all. But there may be a time when you pick something and you go, oh, I thought that was what I wanted. But now that I've got it, I'm thinking that's not quite what I was looking for, right? So then you can say, I'm going to pick something else. And the second that you pick something else, that clears off of your plate. So you can say, I'm done with that. And that phrase is a very powerful phrase. I've used it in my life in the last couple of years a couple of times when I have just been done. So one example was I was doing a certain type of work, and it was extremely physically exhausting work. And every time that I would do that kind of work, the situation just was very complex, and it was never quite what I was told it was going to be. So, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I said I would do it. I'm going to do it. But it was exhausting, and I was sick, and I had no energy left. And came to a conversation with my business partner at the time and said, we're working very hard, and yes, we're making decent money, but it is taking a major physical toll on us. And so we kind of both looked at each other and said, so when we finish this project, we're done. Okay, we're done. And by saying that, it put things into motion where we didn't take another job. In fact, we didn't even get offered another job. And my partner got a different job, and I began doing different kinds of work, and it just changed. Within 3 weeks, our whole life was completely different. other jobs. Like there was my partner, he really wasn't too happy where he was working at one point, and he could have continued and he was doing all right, but he just didn't love the work. And we both are in agreement that it's important to really feel good about what you're doing. Otherwise, if you don't like what you're doing, you're really not doing anybody a service by being there. So he was sort of just going through the paces, and he, just wasn't doing what he thought he really wanted to do. So we saw an ad in the newspaper, and he said, I think I'm going to apply for this job. What do you think? And I said, well, you're not happy where you are, so go ahead and apply, and we'll go from there. And he said, because I'm pretty much done where I am. I know that isn't where I want to be. And again, in very short order, within not even a week, he had contacted the company, had 2 interviews, had another interview, and was offered the job. And within 2 weeks, he actually was in the process of moving our household to the location where the new job was. Okay, so I've done it with relationships in the past. I've done it with, activities that I'm like, what, this has become a burden and unpleasant, and it's hard to get motivated to do it. I'm done. And when you say those words, it puts the universe on notice that you are ready to have something else. That something else has to come from your choice. So today I had all these little niggly little things that, although my intention was that I was going to respond with all the good and wisdom and peace and love that I possibly could, it was almost like a test in a way. It was sort of like all this stuff came up to test my resolve. Am I really committed to that? And I have to admit that there were several times today where I didn't live up to what my intention was, but I was aware as it was happening and immediately changed my thinking. And there were more times today than not when I actually said, I have a choice right now to respond in a way that is what my intention is. I have a choice to choose to do the unhappy, blah, blah, blah response, which, when things are not going well in the day, sometimes we get on a roll, and so the whole day ends up that way. So I had a choice today to say, that is not the way I'm going to respond. I'm going to reaffirm that I am grateful for everything that I have. I'm going to reaffirm that I'm at a choice point here, and I am going to just do a reset. Sometimes you have to do a do-over. If I had a miscreation and I did the old habitual actions or words, then I caught myself and I had to say, okay, I'm going to reset this, and I'm going to set my intention that I'm going to respond correctly the way that I want to, the way that I choose to. And I know it's a shift in my consciousness. And so part of what happens when we make a choice, part of what happens is that the universe is conspiring to help you and wants to bring that forth. But there's 2 analogies. If my closet is completely full and I want more clothes, there's nowhere to put them until I get rid of some of the old stuff. Or if my bucket is full, my sewage bucket is full, then I need to somehow drip water into that so that the mud, the muck, will eventually clear out. So you drip a drip of water at a time into that bucket. eventually, it'd be a slow process this way, but eventually the mud would dissipate. Okay, you would end up with mostly clear water, and in some cases, absolutely clear water. So, and the stronger the force of that water, the more quickly the mud clears out. So it really has to do with what energy are you putting into the choices that you're making. If you want to manifest things for yourself, and when I say things, I don't necessarily mean stuff, okay? That's not necessarily materialistic, although, we're here in a material world, so it's my belief that we are also here to master materiality. But stuff also can be, that's a technical term, can also be your consciousness. It can be attributes or characteristics that you want to bring forth into the world. So by being very clear, being very focused and forceful, you can actually clear that out quicker so that you are able to create what it is that you want. And that is the tricky part. You have to make a list, whether it's mental or actually on paper. And I actually suggest doing it on paper because you'll have a way to track when you manifest things. I actually keep a wish list of stuff and trips and characteristics that I would like to have in my experience, and put a check mark. And sometimes I'll even put a date and say, wow, look how fast I requested this on this date, and 2 days later I had it. It really works that way. We are not here to be suffering. We are not here to be in misery. We are in an abundant universe, and part of our job is to, first of all, understand what it is we want, and want it with all our heart, and then allow it to come forth through our words, our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So I hope that you enjoyed our inspirational talk today, and I would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or thoughts, please leave a comment in the comment section. Or if you have any prayer requests, please know that I will be very happy to hold your request in confidentiality, and I will pray with you for a week after receiving your request, the entire week. So if there's some area of your life where you're not knowing the truth for yourself, I'd be very happy to know that with you. I hope that you have a very blessed week, and think about creating what you want. This is Stephanie with The Spiritual Creator, and that's www.spiritualcreator.com. Thanks for coming by today.